An increase in anxiety is common in the peri to post-menopausal years, but it doesn't need to be your normal. It is something that I see regularly in clinic, and I understand how debilitating it can be because I have struggled with anxiety and full-blown panic attacks in the past. So in this video, I am going to share with you some supplements, some adaptogen herbs, and some homeopathic remedies to help. But what I would say as a caveat is these supplements and adaptogen herbs are going to help you in terms of optimizing your body functions and addressing any nutritional deficiencies that might be contributing to anxiety. And the homeopathic remedies are going to help in the moment when you're struggling with anxiety, but what they potentially won't be doing is addressing root cause. If you have anxiety because you're stressed, because you have an immense amount of stress, because you have past trauma, past grief, past bereavement, anything like that, then you need to be addressing that root cause with a professional, whether it be with a homeopath like myself or some sort of talking therapy. That stuff has to be dealt with. And the second caveat, if you are taking any medication, as always, please check for contraindications before undertaking any new supplement regime. So in my 20s, I had a panic attack out of the blue. It was the mid-90s. We didn't talk about mental health like we do today. I was absolutely terrified. I didn't know what was going on. I didn't know what was happening to me. I didn't know why I was terrified of everything all of a sudden. And at that point, it was suggested to me that I see a counselor. I was very lucky to have a lovely counselor who, during treatment, suggested I take up running. I did, and it helped massively, and I've exercised ever since. It's part of my toolkit for managing my anxiety. But whilst the exercise kept my panic attacks under control, there was always this low-grade anxiety in the background, and it was that led me to homeopathy and to everything that I do today. You see, I had childhood trauma that had never been talked about until I discovered homeopathy and learnt about the mind-body connection. So with homeopathy and exercise, my anxiety was kept at bay until I hit 35 and perimenopause, and then my anxiety came back with a vengeance. And it was at that point where I started learning about women's hormones, and particularly learning about how sensitive I was to blood sugar levels. I changed everything about how I ate, and it was at that point that my anxiety became non-existent, unless of course I don't follow my own rules. And the point of me sharing my story with you is that I want you to understand that we have to take a holistic approach. Anxiety can be influenced by a number of things, including our gut. We know our gut is our second brain, and serotonin, our happiness neurotransmitter, it is made in the gut. Our hormones, we have lovely calming progesterone, and it interacts with GABA, our anti-anxiety neurotransmitter. Blood sugar balance, if this is out of whack, that can bring on anxiety, as to over-exercising, under-exercising, not sleeping properly, having unresolved trauma, having huge amounts of stress. So many things can influence anxiety. So we can't just take a supplement and hope for the best. We, as always, have to take a holistic approach. But whilst we are working on that holistic approach, of course, there are the supplements and the adaptogen herbs and things that we can do to help. So starting with supplements, my first and most favorite supplement, if you've watched any of my videos, you'll know, is magnesium. Our foods are nowhere near as nutrient dense as they once were due to over-farming and long-term use of herbicides and pesticides. And this results in most of us being deficient in this essential mineral. And magnesium is involved in every single cell function in the body, and within the nervous system, it acts like a tonic. It helps to calm everything down, and it does the same in the brain as well. It helps to regulate our neurotransmitter function. So it's an essential mineral for managing states of stress and states of anxiety. And when we're stressed and we're anxious, we burn through magnesium. So it is a supplement I do recommend a lot. And it's always magnesium biglycinate that I recommend because it is more bioavailable. It's more easy for the body to absorb. Omega-3 fatty acid is another supplement that I recommend a lot, both for hormone production and for brain health. But for anxiety and depression, the research suggests that it may be effective, but where it comes into its own is when it's combined with vitamin D. The research suggests that taking omega-3 together with vitamin D helps to regulate serotonin, thereby improving mental health conditions. Vitamin D is not something that I routinely recommend. I would suggest getting it tested before supplementing. And actually, in the summer months, I would recommend going outside, getting sunlight on the skin for 15 minutes every single day would do a better job. However, here in the UK, when we've got those shorter daylight hours in the winter, then supplementation supplementation at that time might be necessary, but again, I would always recommend testing it first. Another supplement I do like for anxiety is L-theanine. So we have progesterone, it interacts with GABA. So the more progesterone, the more potent GABA is. But when we hit perimenopause, we lose those nice high levels of progesterone, and so we have less GABA and we have more anxiety. So we can use L-theanine to help boost those GABA levels. Next up, we've got 2 adaptogen herbs, and adaptogen herbs help us to cope better with stress. And these 2 adaptogen herbs have both been shown to improve anxiety. The first of which is ashwagandha, which is great for mood, depression, anxiety, and just for so many other menopause symptoms. The other adaptogen herb that I really like for anxiety is rhodiola. It's fantastic for reducing anxiety and cortisol levels, and the research suggests that it stimulates serotonin and dopamine. And now for some homeopathic remedies, which of course are completely safe and can be taken alongside other supplements and herbs that you might be taking. First up, we've got aconite, which is one of the key homeopathic remedies for anxiety. It has lots of panic, covers panic attacks, lots of fear, lots of anxiety, and with it you'll see lots of restlessness. With the fear, it's around dying, so they may believe that they're going to die, but it also covers anxiety about the heart, fear of crowds, agoraphobia, and fear of doctors and dentists. And if you're in a situation where you don't know where to start with selecting a homeopathic remedy, maybe you're new to homeopathy and you're just trying out a homeopathic kit for the first time, I'd always say start with aconite because it covers sudden onset and it covers first signs of illness. So it can buy you a little bit of time whilst you're trying to find the right remedy. Next up, we've got arginate, which is our anxiety remedy where it's an anticipatory anxiety. So if you're anticipating all the things that could go wrong and you're getting over anxious, this might be the remedy for you. So with it, there's a lot of anticipation, apprehension, and fear, and they might get diarrhea with their anxiety. If you've ever had a panic attack, you'll know that there's a big fear around having another panic attack, and this remedy covers fear of having a panic attack. It also covers fear of heights, fear of flying, fear of crowds, claustrophobia, and they crave sugar. They're real sugar fiends, and with the eating of all that sugar, they might get diarrhea with that as well. Arsenicum is our health anxiety remedy. So they have lots and lots of health anxiety, and they have fear around germs and disease, and they can be quite fastidious around cleaning in regards to germs and disease. They may have worries about little trifles in the future, but the main anxiety is around health, and they really need a lot of reassurance, none of which they pay any attention to, but they can be quite domineering and demanding because they need that reassurance. The next 2 remedies are remedies that I love and I use a lot in my menopause clinic. The first is calc carb. Calc carb tend to get overly anxious and overly worried about all of their duties and responsibilities, and it wears them out. They become burnt out, preferring just to sit on the sofa rather than get on and do, and they get in that can't be bothered state. Calc also covers heat and night sweats, particularly of the head, the face, the neck, and the chest, and they can have really long and heavy periods as well, so a great menopause remedy. And finally, we have lycopodium. Lycopodium's anxiety and fears are usually performance based, so they might be stage fright, it might be that anxiety before giving a presentation at work, and with it comes a real loss of confidence. They have really low self-esteem and a real fear of failure. Lycopodium also covers heat and sweats, particularly at that 4 to 8 p.m. stage, and it's a great remedy for bloating. So bloating on eating a very small amount, so a small meal and they're instantly full up and bloating, and worse for things like onions and beans and cabbage and wheat and gluten, things like that. They also really crave sugar. It's a great blood sugar balancing remedy because it supports the liver and it supports the pancreas. Of course, there are hundreds of other homeopathic remedies that are suitable for anxiety, and the remedies do need to be individualized to you. This is just a selection of remedies that I use a lot in my menopause clinic and that you can find in any basic homeopathic kit. So there are a lot of ways to treat anxiety. I always say start with the low-hanging fruit, get your nutrition sorted, get your sleep sorted, make sure you go outside every day, get some movement, and then add in this extra support, this extra layer of support based on your individualized needs. And if you're even wondering where to start with nutrition and stress management and all things like that in the peri to postmenopausal years, grab yourself a copy of my free download, Thriving in the Menopause. You can find the link to it in the notes below this video.